Hey guys, welcome back to the Penguin Teen Friday5. This is our first episode in the new year, 2018.
Woo! Happy New Year, you guys!
I'm Elora.
And I'm Caitlin. And we have a lot of exciting stuff we want to talk about with you guys. We hope you're reading some really incredible books over break, and we are so excited to talk about books with you again today.
Wait.
You guys!
Did you guys say books?
We said books.
I want to talk about the books I'm reading.
Oh my god.
Like,
Arvin Ahmadi is here.
the author of Down and Across coming out in just over 3 weeks. This is incredible. Do you want to hang out with us?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I would love to.
I think we should talk about some books and
Can
definitely...
I be a co-host?
Yeah.
Can I co-host today's Friday 5?
Wait, like quick meeting?
Like, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Okay.
You guys, this is so
All right.
exciting.
All right.
I think that we should talk about your book first, though.
That's a good plan.
Okay.
You guys, we're going to jump and start off with Down and Across.
Oh, you happen to have
some beautiful
so weird.
copies right
Brand
here.
new, hot off the press.
Do you recognize this? Is it familiar?
This is very familiar. I got my first copy a couple days ago and haven't stopped looking at it, touching it, opening it.
Yeah, so let's get talking about it.
All right, Arvin, are you ready to tell everybody about Down and Across?
Absolutely.
All right.
So Down and
Let's hear it.
Across is a story about a 16-year-old boy, Saket Ferdowsi, who goes by Scott. He has strict Iranian parents, and so he runs away one day to meet a famous professor for advice about success. Along the way, he meets a girl, Theora, whose life ambition is to write crossword puzzles, and she convinces him to stay in Washington, D.C., where he's run away to. And he ends up having this epic adventure, this epic summer.
I really liked it because I liked that you explored the feelings of failure, that Scott was just sort of like searching for his purpose, which is like a super common thing when you're 16 or when you're 28. You're just trying to figure out what's right for you, like what your path is going to be, and the whole idea of grit. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah. So the idea, Scott runs away to meet this famous professor whose whole thing is grit, and how, if you can really stick with something, that's how you can be passionate about it. And I think at 16, I was looking for something to be passionate about, but I didn't know what. And it's funny because that, I felt like as I grew up, I would figure it out and nail it and just stick with that thing. But I kept thinking I figured it out, and then starting from square one and thinking and failing and thinking and failing. And so I think it's a really good point that, like, those feelings of like finding your place in the world and finding your thing as a teenager, like, they exist in your 20s and they will probably continue to exist.
Yeah, definitely. Some of the most successful people, like Oprah, have failed, you know what I mean? They've been rejected, they've been cut down, and here they are. So I think it's like a really important lesson to learn, like especially like at that age.
Yeah.
So the grit test, is that a real thing?
It is a real thing.
Have you taken it?
I did. I took it right before I started writing this book. I watched this TED Talk by Angela Duckworth, who's like the real life inspiration for this professor. And I saw the talk and was simultaneously like inspired by the idea of grit and terrified. And so I went online and I found a test on her website that like tests for how gritty you are. And I think I got something like 10%. Like, I totally bombed this test, which was evaluating me on my like previous failures.
Thanks
but
for knowing.
maybe this is what the test wanted to do all along. Where like I failed the test and then was like, you know what, test? I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to write this book.
Yeah.
And I did, and I just kept at it. And I think it's because I was. It's one thing to like keep at a book and not give up. It's another thing when that book is about giving up. Like, it would just be especially embarrassing.
Yeah, like ironic.
Yeah, if I gave up on a book about grit. And so I just kept writing and rewriting this. Yeah.
Do you think everyone fails the test and it's like a scheme to get everybody to just work harder in life?
Guys, we figured it out.
Sure.
This is the grit test scheme.
There we go. Everybody should take it. Then you're going to do something amazing.
Take the test, fail the test, and do better.
Yeah, exactly. I have one more question.
Sure.
How good are you at crossword puzzles? Like New York Times Sunday edition good, or is anyone that good?
I am crosswords with friends good.
Okay.
Which is like, there's this great app, Crosswords with Friends, and they have like pretty easy puzzles that I solve most days.
Okay.
As far as the New York Times puzzle goes, I think I can do like a Monday.
Yeah, I feel you, because it gets harder each day.
It gets harder each day, yeah. So Monday is the easiest, and then I think it gets harder throughout the week by Friday.
Well, I like that they played a part in this book. Yeah. All right, well, I think Caitlin's going to ask you a few questions.
All right.
So get ready.
All right, you guys know what's up next. Arvin, are you ready for the Fast Five?
I'm ready. Okay.
Okay, you didn't say that very fast. It doesn't feel like you're ready, but like we're going to try, you guys, okay?
Wait, let's try that one more time.
Arvin, Are you ready for the fast five?
Caitlin, I'm ready.
I felt it. Did you feel it? We all felt it. The world felt it. Let's go.
All right.
All right. What song best represents Down and Across?
Okay. So the obvious answer here is a Shawn Mendes song that I'm sure you guys know and love. I Know What You Did Last Summer. But there is a deeper answer. Not that there's not anything
I
deep
love
about
Shawn
Shawn Mendes. Oh, I love Shawn Mendes.
Okay, so we've got
Give me
Shawn Mendes
Stitches,
over
give
here.
me I Know What You Did Last Summer, all that. Anytime.
Wow.
Stitches too, honestly, when you get to the, toward the
It
end of Down and
works.
Across.
It does
Yeah.
work.
But the second one, and this is really more like, it reflects Down and Across's vibe, I would say A-Punk by Vampire Weekend.
That is a great song.
Such a good song.
You're
That
probably
would be...
going to have to write a little playlist for everyone out there because they probably think you have really good taste right now. So you have all your friends out there, but what are the books that you always push on your friends?
Oh man. Okay, so there are two books that I've been pushing a lot lately. The first book is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas.
So good.
It is a mind-blowing book about teenage girl who lives between two worlds. The world that she grew up in, which is predominantly black, and this predominantly white prep school she goes to, and then something really bad happens. Incredible book, just changes your perspective on race relations in America. And the second book is it's this like tech near futuristic thriller called The Circle.
That's a great book.
It is a great book.
These are two phenomenal books
Phenomenal
to be
books,
talking about.
really
Your friends
different.
are lucky people, you guys. You better hope you're his friends. As a writer, what is your best or worst excuse for missing a deadline?
Okay, so I'd actually thought of this one before, just because as writers you miss a lot of deadlines. All right, so this is actually pretty recent. This was in November, but I emailed my agent about this manuscript I've been working on and struggling with, and I wrote this line. I'm not going to hit the deadline. I'm really sorry. Turns out writing is less about magic and more about planning.
Oh, that's
So-
poetic.
Yeah, I guess it's poetic, but also just sad. Like 25-year-old Arvin is still figuring out this planning thing.
Okay, so next question for you is, what is your absolute favorite writing snack?
Okay, this is kind of lame, but also just kind of real. Coffee.
Coffee's good.
If I'm really writing intensely, want to get in the zone, I just, I totally screw over my heart and accept those heart palpitations. And
How do you take
guzzle
your coffee, though?
Good question. So I used to just drink coffee black, but then I went to Europe with my I went to Portugal for a week with my sister,
Awesome.
and we drank a ton of espresso. And I am, a newly minted espresso snob.
Very exciting. So you guys, if you see him at events, bring him some espresso. Okay, my last question for you is, out of all of the amazing books that you've read in your life, which one do you wish you could read for the very first time again?
Is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara.
Oh, wow.
It's an incredibly tragic book, but I was reading this book while I was on submission for Down and Across, and I found out that I had sold Down and Across while I was maybe like 2/3 of the way through.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is awesome, but also just like a mixed bag of emotion.
Yeah.
If for all of you guys out there, A Little Life is a really sad book,
Yeah.
and finding out you sold a book is a really happy moment. So I just had like total emotional whiplash.
But it's just also like this incredible moment where having both experiences together makes each of them even more significant
Yes.
and powerful.
Yes.
Just like the juxtaposition of that, you're like, I am so happy because I can appreciate what true sadness is.
Exactly.
Thanks to a book.
That's why I want to reread the book, because I just feel like I would feel all that happiness and
Yeah.
all those feels all over again.
All right, we know you guys had a ton of time over the holidays to read some really amazing books that we hope you loved. Laura, what books are you reading now?
Wow.
Wait. Can I talk about what I'm reading too?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Guys, we all
yeah.
want to hear what he's been reading. You should definitely start.
We know you have good taste by now, so
By now we know a lot.
we definitely want to hear what you're reading. And it looks like you're seriously multitasking here.
Well, okay, so I'm one of those weird people who can't just read one book at a time.
Cool.
So I've got a few books that I'm currently reading. The first one is Marie Lu's Warcross.
Obviously, you know we're fans.
Yeah. And this one, and
Pandering.
fans for really good reason. It is
Yeah.
insane.
I know, it's so good.
It just has you constantly guessing and on the edge of your seat. Beautifully written. This world that she's created it's like a world that could exist in the near future, but also just feels so like out there and insane.
That's definitely my favorite part where you're reading this book. You're like, I recognize so much in this, but I can also see how we're going to get to this absolutely insane place, and this is what very well may happen.
Yeah.
So I'm also reading a book that comes out next week called Love, Hate, and Other Filters. It's an Own Voices Muslim story, and it's about this teenage girl who has strict Muslim parents who want her to stay local for college, marry a Muslim boy, but she has different plans for herself. And so in the wake of like a terrorist attack, she has to reevaluate everything.
And if you haven't read stuff like that before, like 2018 is definitely the year to start reading books that are new and different to you and about people who may not look like you or relate to you in the ways that they always have before. So that's an amazing rec right there too.
Yeah, and speaking of, diverse books and people who don't look like you or have different experiences, the third book that I've been reading, I've been reading on ebook, so I don't have the actual book with me, but it's The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon, and I know,
a great book.
I mean, it's an incredible book, and I just keep getting so lost in that story. Because it's on ebook, I read it like on the subway and in line. I was that guy in the Trader Joe's line the other day who kept like holding up the line because I was
Nobody
reading.
likes that guy.
Nobody likes that guy, but I really liked what I was reading. Like, all right, so what are you guys reading?
Should I start?
Definitely.
All right. I'm reading Lies You Never Told Me, which you would not know from the cover, but from the back cover, really switching it up here in 2018. This book is insane. I literally cannot stop turning the pages. I'm almost at the end, and after this, I'm probably just gonna go finish it on my desk. So this book is like totally shocking. It's about 2 toxic relationships, and there's a twist at the end. I've heard that's gonna freaking blow my mind.
Guys,
like,
I read this one on the
I'm so ready
holidays.
for it.
Elora's in for a wild ride. Like the one where you're like gripping yourself like that did not just happen. It's insane.
So far, I'm like, this is happening. Oh my god, this is happening. So I just can't wait to get to the end.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm convinced to finish my TBR so fast and get to this book.
It's a great one. But
Right.
if you're also looking for something outside of the contemporary world, I've got another fantasy, you guys. This one comes from the internationally best-selling author, Sally Green. You may know her from her Half-Bad trilogy. Love that one too if you want to go ahead and dip into some old books. But this one is an amazing, lush fantasy that's set in a world where there is this illicit subject called demon smoke. And essentially, you don't know too much about what it is, but a lot of people use it for more pleasure and partying purposes, but there might be something else deeper going on. And so what happens is you meet these 5 different characters. You have a princess, a soldier, a hunter, a thief, and a servant. And you are watching as all their different stories kind of collide together. And what I loved about this one is no story overshadowed the other. And even when you're switching between stories, you always wanted to read what's happening next for each individual person. Another part that I really love about this book so far is that it has some serious girl power. Like, not only is it the girls that are taking charge in the story, but they're leading the charge at the same time. It's been really exciting. I love my girl, Princess Catherine. She is kind of like my new role model for 2018 and who I will strive to be. There's also a lot of other great characters in here, and it's got that fast pace, and you're going to want to be in this world and stay in it much longer than the last page. So I really hope some people are getting excited about it.
Yeah, it comes out in May, right?
Yep.
I haven't read this one yet, but you sold me. Now I'm gonna read it.
Smoke thieves, you guys.
All right, guys, this is the end of the Friday 5. We've done cover reveals, we've done books we've read, and we hope to see you back next week
Whoa. What do you mean you'll hope to see them back next week?
Arvin, I think we're getting replaced, you guys.
Yeah, we said co-host, not take over.
I think you guys misunderstood. I thought I was taking over.
Well, maybe
I
you
mean,
can
I
stick
guess.
around, but just in case you can't, where can everyone follow you?
Okay, well, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, it's at Arvin Ahmadi. Down and Across comes out in 3.5 weeks. So
Crazy.
if I can come back on again, you can read the book.
Where else can they see you out in the world, though?
Oh, and I'll be on the road. You can see me in DC, Boston, New York, at your favorite indies. And yeah, I'm really, really excited.
Well,
It was so great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Thank you guys for
And
having
we
me.
can't wait to see you guys next week for our next Penguin Teen Friday 5. Thanks for hanging out with us, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you guys.